Hi friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria and today we're going to be talking about reverse harem romances. So reverse harem, also referred to as why choose romance, is a romance between a heroine and at least 3 heroes. Those 3 heroes could be also relationship with each other, or they could just be in a relationship with the heroine. If they are in a relationship with each other, it's usually referred to as swords crossing. I like it both ways, so I am going to recommend some to you. This is actually one of my favorite tropes and I read a lot of it, or as much as I can of it. I really would like to read even more, but there are so many out there and it's hard to find the really good gems. So for this video, I am going to be recommending some. I do also have a previous recommendation video. It's from like a year ago, I think, when I first started reading reverse harem romances, but I'll link that video down below. So the first one, which is one that I did actually talk about in the previous video, but I think in that previous video I only talked about Madison Kate, but in this video I again mention it again because it's probably still one of my favorite reverse harems that I've ever read, the Madison Kate and the Hades series. These are both dark romance reverse harem series, so they follow very much like gangs, and they both take place in a town called Shady Grove. So in Madison Kate, a heroine who's named Madison Kate, she meets these 3 guys on what's known as riot night, which is this night where these like riots and gang wars and fighting breaks out, and that night ends up being blamed on Madison Kate, and she is very mad at these 3 guys that she met on riot night because she thinks that the reason that she got blamed for riot night was their fault. So she ends up actually leaving the town for a while to like let the events of riot night like settle, and then she comes back to go to college in Shady Grove, and she finds out that those 3 guys that she met on riot night are actually living in her father's house and she will have to be living with them, and she ends up having a enemies to lovers relationship with all 3 of them. And those 3 are all best friends. There's also a stalker going around that Madison Kate is like obsessed with Madison Kate, so there's like that suspense element to it. It's so much, it's so interesting, and I really loved it. The Hades series also takes place in Shady Grove, but it is about Hades, who is the leader of the Timberwolves, I believe is her gang name. And she is a female gang leader, and it's her struggle of being a female gang leader and being the head of a gang in general and having to police like the other gangs that exist and like make sure they're staying off her territory, following her rules and everything, because she is kind of like the main queen of all the gangs. But she ends up having a romance with 3 guys, and Hades is probably my favorite series that I've read by T. James, and I really love the different dynamics between the 3 guys because you get 3 different tropes in one book. So one of the heroes is a virgin hero and he is younger than Hades. One of the heroes is an older man, age gap 1, and then one of the heroes is a friends to lovers. So it's so fun to have like all 3 different tropes in there with different relationships and see how they all work together, especially because in a lot of reverse harems you do get a lot of alpha personality types who have to sort of like tamper down their alphaness, or like realize that in order to make their heroine happy they need to allow these other guys in there, because the heroine wouldn't be as happy or wouldn't be herself without those other guys. So I love seeing how they deal with like so many like conflicting alpha personalities, and Madison Kate and Hades definitely both have those because there are fully alpha personalities in those men in those series. There's also no swords crossing in Madison Kate or in Hades, but even without like an actual like swords crossing, there is group scenes. So everyone is involved. So the next series that I have to recommend is the Mate Game series. This is one that I actually read recently. I read it in January, and this is a paranormal reverse harem series, and it is about a heroine named Sunday who is a werewolf but has never shifted, and her grandfather hates the fact that she's never shifted, and so he feeling disgraced by her, decides to send her to this boarding school for paranormals. And at this paranormal boarding school or college, she ends up meeting a vampire who's the prince of the vampires. His name is Noah. She meets a priest who is actually a vampire but used to be a priest and still acts like a priest, and his name is Caleb, and he's actually her professor. She meets Alex, I think his name is Alex. Alec, not Alex. Alec, who is a Novasgardian prince, which is basically like a demigod. And then she ends up being confronted with her wolf fated mate who she actually rejected. And she ends up having a relationship with all four of them. And the audiobooks of this series are fantastic. This series was like crack. Like, it was so addicting. There are definitely like some plot issues in this series. There's a lot going on, especially in the first book, and then the second book there's not that much going on, but there's a lot of sex in it. But I had such a fun time reading this series or listening to this series. One of the heroes sounds exactly like Holden Scott from the movies. One of the heroes sounds exactly like Heath Ledger from 10 Things I Hate About You. One of the heroes is American, and then one of the heroes is Irish. And so freaking good sounding. The accents that they did were so well done. And the series itself is actually like really interesting and fun. It's not gonna win a Pulitzer. It's not like the best thing ever, but I had a really good time with it. And the whole plot situation of like, there's a lot of like secrets that need to be unveiled and everything, and Sunday doesn't know who her mother is, and so that's like a big overarching mystery throughout the series of trying to find out who's after them, and how she has 4 fated mates, because it is fated mate with all of them. So how she has 4 fated mates, who she actually is, who her mother is, and why she is so powerful. And it's really interesting, and I had a good time with it. The next series that I have is the Bonds That Tie series by J. Bree. This is another paranormal reverse harem series, and this one I have read all but the last book in. I haven't finished the final book in the series yet, but I really loved the books that I've read so far. So the heroine in this one's name is Oleander. So in this world, you have these things called bonds, which are basically like fated mates, and everyone has different types of powers. And so in the first book, Oleander is in a car accident where her parents all die in it, and instead of going and seeking refuge with her bonds or the people who will be her bonded, she actually runs away instead, and she's on the run for a really long time until they finally catch her and they drag her to Draven University, which is this college where she meets the people who are supposed to be her bonded for the first time, and they are very unhappy with her that she ran away. They don't know why she ran away, and I'm not going to tell you because spoilers. But they don't know why she ran away, and so the first book is sort of bully romance-ish. The rest of the books are not, but the first book, they are very mad at her that she ran away. They don't understand her. They also, in the first book, do not think that she has any powers, so that's really interesting to see the way that they treat her and the way that she has to hide the fact that she has powers, and it's so interesting. I had such a good time with it. It's another series that I like flew through the books that were out when I read it, and it was like so fun. I also think that the writing in the first book is the least strong, but you can already in the second book and third book see the growth of the writing in it. So if you don't love the writing in the first book, the writing in the second book is better, I promise. The next one that I have is Deceived by the Gargoyles by Lillian Lark. This is another paranormal one. So this one is about a heroine who decides to go to a matchmaker. And at the matchmaker, she meets this guy and they end up going on a date, and she's really excited about it and really into him. But then she finds out that he lied to her and that he actually already has 2 other male mates, and that he actually wants her to be with all of them, and that they're gargoyles. And it was really fun. I actually thought that this one was really cute because the heroine really just wanted a family, and she just wanted someone to love her. And the gargoyle who was at the matchmaking agency, he loves his mates, but he knows that something is missing and something is like lacking in their bond, and so he just wants something to, just wants their bond to be stronger, just wants it to be better. And so when she finds out that the other two are his mates and everything, she is like shocked, and it's so cute and fun. I loved the way that the heroine like processed through the fact that there were multiple gargoyle mates. And I also love how quickly the other two gargoyles, or at least one of the other gargoyles, got on board, because one of them does feel very like upset. I mean, they're both a little upset at the guy who goes to the matchmaking agency, but one of them gets so on board so fast when he meets the heroine, and I just loved it. It was so cute, and I liked that it was just like the one book. And it wasn't very long. It was less than 400 pages, which is pretty good for a reverse harem, because most reverse harems that I've read have been series or have been duologies, duets, whatever that is. So having one be just like one book was really good and really fun, and I actually really liked it. So the next one that I want to recommend is another one that I read in January, and that is the Pack Darling duet. So in this one, this is actually an Omega-verse reverse harem. So this one is about a heroine named Lila who is a darling, which basically means that she is a ward of the state. She has no family. She has nobody who is responsible for her. So the Omega Center is responsible for her. And she has not been treated well her entire life. She has been very much taken advantage of and attacked for her entire life. And these men come up to her and are basically blackmail her or like bully her into joining their son's pack to be their the Omega for their son's pack. She can't do anything about it. She is basically blackmailed into it. She is not given much choice either way, and she ends up having to be forced to join this pack. But when she gets there, she finds out that they don't want her and that they already have an Omega. They have a male Omega, but they already have an Omega. And so she is confused. She is upset, and she basically tries very much to keep to herself and stay out of their way. But they make it very clear to her that they do not want her there. They do not like her, and they bully her. It is a fully bully type romance for the first part of this duet. They don't like her, and she has been through so much, and she has been treated so horribly that she just takes it, and she just like is like, yeah, I've dealt with worse. She's really strong, and she is very resilient, and I really loved her as a heroine. And this is a duology, so in book 2 they basically realize how much they fucked up, and the book is them groveling to try and get her back. But I really enjoyed this. It was Omega-verse, so the heroine is an Omega and the guys are alphas, and then one of the guys is a male Omega. It's MMFMMM. Is that right? I think that's right. But I really enjoyed it and would very highly recommend it. Another Omega-verse romance is Too Tempting by Sarah Blue, and this one is a MMFFMM romance. Gosh, that's hard. There's a lot of letters there. And this one was a really interesting one because in this one, the heroine is a Omega, and she just wants a large pack. That's what she's always wanted, and she has a huge crush on her brother's best friend, but she has some trauma, and she has this really horrible ex-girlfriend who is abusive, and so her brother's best friend, who she has this huge crush on, he has seen her at her like absolute lowest, and so she doesn't think he wants her, and so she goes out to this like club, and she meets this heroine who is a female alpha, and she meets a guy who is the female alpha's beta. The female alpha's name is Shyla, and the beta's name is Emmett. And she ends up going home with them, and she starts a relationship with them, but she knows that she wants a large pack and that she wants a male alpha in the pack, and so she ends up trying to combine Shyla and Emmett, who are already in a established relationship, and the guy that her brother's best friend, who she had a crush on, and his he has a male Omega already. They already have a relationship, and so she, the heroine, is in the middle, and she tries to like combine these two couples to make like one big pack with her. And it's really interesting, especially because there are 2 Omegas in the pack, and there are also 2 alphas in the pack, and a female alpha and a male alpha. And so there is like tension between them. There's jealousy between both of the Omegas, and then there's also the like crazy tension between the alphas, because they like are like who has bigger dick energy kind of situation of like who's gonna be the like pack alpha, who's going to be in charge, who's going to make the decisions and stuff. So it was really interesting to see the different like dynamics of the relationship and how they were going to make this very messy relationship work. And I actually thought it was done really, really well. The main heroine, the Omega heroine, she had this abusive ex-girlfriend, and so because of that, she had gone to therapy and was like really working on herself, and you could really tell that she took the things that she learned in therapy and brought them to her relationships. And so she was very upfront about what she wanted, making sure that they knew it is a deal breaker for me that there needs to be a male alpha in the pack. And so the female alpha knew like if she wants this Omega, she has to deal with the other alpha. And I loved the way that they also all went to like couples therapy. So they like went to like pack therapy to like try and figure out how to make this dynamic work, because they had like a lot of love and they wanted to be together, but they had to deal with the actual real issues before they like officially bonded. And I thought it was really like adult. It had very good communication and I had a good time with it. Then I have another Omegaverse. I've read a lot of Omegaverse reverse harems. I don't love Omegaverse like MF ones or MM ones, so like just 2 people in the Omegaverse. I like reverse harem Omegaverses. My favorite reverse harem Omegaverses are Catherine Moon's Sweetverse, which I said in my other video, other reverse harem video. But I've read the whole series now since that video, so I would highly recommend that whole series, especially Lola and the Millionaires. The one for this video is called Not Your Damn Omega by Devin Sinclair, and this one is about a heroine who is a twin, and she's an identical twin, and her identical twin sister is a famous actress or something, and she is very well known and her face is very well known, and so the heroine in this one has the same face as her very famous sister, and so she has been trying to find a pack for herself, but every time she tries to find a pack, they just want her to be her sister. They think because they have the same face that they're gonna have the same personality, and they want her to act like her sister, all this stuff, and she's just like, I want someone to love me for me. I want a pack that wants me and not my sister. And so she has sort of given up on finding a pack that just wants her. She has a lot of issues because of this rejection by everyone of them just wanting her to be her sister. And so she goes out to this party one day and she literally like smells cupcakes, and she like goes searching for cupcakes and ends up walking straight into this guy, and her first words to him are, "You're not a cupcake." It's really funny. And he is what she's smelling. She thought he was a cupcake, but it's actually his scents, and she and him get very attached to each other, but the heroine is very afraid of him just wanting her to be her sister, and so she sort of runs away, but the heroine's sister actually knows who he is, the guy is, and makes sure that the heroine can't just run away and that she actually does get to like talk to him and everything. And so turns out that the guy that she met is actually a famous tattoo artist, and he has a pack of other tattoo artists, and that they have been looking for an Omega, and they basically what's called scent match with the heroine, which is basically when biology, it's sort of like fated mates, when biology chooses that they are going to be the right person for their pack. And it's really, really cute to see how they go about learning about the heroine to make sure to not step on anyone's toes and make sure that they're not pushing her too far, or that they're making it very clear that they want her and they don't want her to be her sister. They want her to just be her. And you could see how the heroine worked through her own issues and trauma of being like rejected so many times, and how she softens to this pack, and it was very cute and I liked it. So I think that's actually going to be the last one that I recommend in this video. If you would like me to do another one, let me know, because I have more. But that is going to be it for this one. So please like it if you liked it, and subscribe so you can see more content from me. And if you have any recommendations for me of reverse harems, let me know in the comments, because I'm always looking for more. But that's going to be it, so I hope that you have the absolute best day. Bye!